Hello and welcome back to Colorado Krav Maga YouTube. We are going to talk today about the difference between a knife threat and a knife attack and how to address both of those. When it comes to knife threats, we're talking about something that's stationary, right? They're not trying to actively stab you, they're just presenting a knife and threatening your life. An active stab, right, or an active knife stab is a different defense here. We're gonna have to address the fact that it's moving in space. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and start with some knife threats. Safety tip, guys, make sure you're training not with a real knife, but a training knife. Today we're using this one. Looks very real, but it's not. There's no sharp objects or sharp sides on this knife. All right, guys, let's get into some knife threats, right? So we have the difference between attacks and threats. When I'm being threatened with a knife, it is simply being presented. Now, there are multiple different ways in which this knife can be presented. It can be just straight out in front. It can be against my neck of some capacity on either side. There's multiple different variations from here. When it comes to threats, the first thing to always think about is, what do they want? What is the context of this? If they want your wallet, your money, your property, give it to them, right? Your life is not worth fighting for those types of things. If it's something escalated more than that, like get in the van, or you feel as though your life is at threat, you are going to have to address this scenario. We're gonna address knife threats similarly to gun defenses, right? We're gonna kind of follow our acronym of RCAT: redirect, control, attack, takeaway. The main thing here is, of course, to not get stabbed, to take this out of the picture. So I'm gonna redirect, I'm gonna try to take the dead side. So I'm gonna use my same side hand, thumb up, pinky down, like I'm trying to shake his hand. This keeps it a smooth and least detectable motion inside my silhouette. I'm gonna drive it up and I'm gonna extend it out. I'm gonna lock out that arm, and then my other hand is gonna come to cap. Come to this side for me. I'm gonna redirect, and I'm gonna bring my other hand to cap. I'm gonna tuck my chin, lock out my arms, and I'm gonna try to push this knife into his body as I come in with an advancing kick. Then from here, I don't have great control, so I'm not gonna spend too much time with this fight. I'm gonna go straight to this takeaway and drive it out, and then I have the knife, all right? So again, redirect first, cap at that hand so you have control. Drive it into their body. You want it to have a back stop. You don't want it to be in space. You want it against something. Your arms are locked out, and you're gonna go to this takeaway. This takeaway is a cavalier. I'm gonna show you outside of his body so it's easier to see. But again, I'm doing all of this work pressed against him. I have my hand wrapped around his wrist. My other hand, I'm gonna push my palm underneath his knuckles, trying to take his palm into his own palm. Right? It doesn't go that way, that's the point. I'm taking his palm into his own palm. His fingers start opening up. I'm gonna replace my fingers with his fingers, clear it out, and now this knife is mine. You may use it as a stabbing instrument, or you may just have it so they don't have it and you can fight. Last little recap here. Redirect, cap, control, attack, take away, make your escape. That is a basic introduction to knife threat. Now it does change a little bit depending on if it's on that knife. But my principles are all gonna be the same. I'm gonna redirect, but I'm just obviously not gonna redirect this way. I'm gonna redirect now with my outside, cap with that other one, but still make a very similar defense. And if it's on that exact same side, it's gonna be the same thing, but I'm gonna try to protect my neck a little bit more and move my neck offline as I'm doing those redirections. Just little ways to change and that variation of the knife threat. Again, remember, this is when the knife is in a static position. It's not moving around. I don't want to try to catch something in space. Yes, exactly why. Cool? Quick terrifying statistic for you. In 2019, there were recorded about 1,500 deaths by a knife or a sharp object. That is murder, so that doesn't even imply all of the people who were injured or threatened or attacked with a knife. That's why we're doing this video right now for you. Dealt with a knife threat, now it's a knife attack time. All right, guys, so now let's change it up to more of a knife attack. There's multiple different angles for this attack. We're gonna focus really quickly just on a downward stab because the principles are all gonna be the same. You're just gonna have to reverse your positioning, all right? So this knife attack comes. Knife attack. So this is now now a moving object, right? He's trying to stab me. First rule I always say is don't get stabbed, all right? I'm gonna not get stabbed by using my 360-degree defense, right? I'm gonna try to go wrist to wrist, keeping this arm at a 90-degree bend, driving forward, getting my weight into this, and stopping the stab from coming. Simultaneously, I'm gonna send that big straight punch, get him off balance. I'm gonna follow his recoil, keeping my arm up. I'm gonna wrap at the arm. Come to this side. I'm going to follow his recoil with my arm, keeping that defense up so I can wrap in his arm, drive down to the wrist. I'm wrapping high, the least moving portion of his arm because he's recoiling above that elbow, and then I will slide down to that wrist. Now I have a good overhook. I have fairly good control here. I'm gonna use this control to send lots of combatives. Just making sure my elbow stays lower than his shoulder to keep a barrier between us as I'm sending whatever combatives I have. I have a break here where I can break at that elbow by driving my body to the side and up, like I'm sending an uppercut with this hand, and then I can slide down to a takeaway. If I have to, I don't always have to do this takeaway. I'm gonna slide down to that wrist, not losing contact, sliding down, driving it away from my body, and then making that same cavalier takeaway that we did in the knife threat scenario. And then from here, I have my space, right? Most other stabs are all gonna be very similar, or outward stabs, right? If it's inwards, it changes a little bit, like a straight stab. But if it's a low stab or even a slash, I still start with that 360. Even if it's that slash, I'm still gonna start with that 360, and everything else builds from there, right? It just changes your angles in not getting stabbed. So apply those same principles of stopping it with a 360, setting that simultaneous counterattack, following that recoil with your defense, getting that good wrap, and lots of combatives, lots and lots of combatives, and then go to your takeaway if you must. You don't always have to. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want some more content. Also, make sure to comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just let us know, what do you think about being threatened with a knife, and at what point you should address the situation. Try to catch something in space. Yes, exactly why. Cool?
We'll say that in the intro. Oh, sorry. I was like, oh, that was not a good sound.